Hyperspace. 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 A philosophical manual on the realm of souls and the stellar origins of being. With peace and love, subscribe, like, comment, and share if you dare, because the algorithm do not care, and I appreciate you for being here. So, let's talk about hyperspace in this video. What the fuck is hyperspace? Well, it's the title of Beck's album, one of Beck's albums, and it's also the realm of souls and the stellar origins of being. Alright, that is what hyperspace is. And I'm glad to take you guys on this journey in hyperspace. So, prolegomenon on the nature of this inquiry. What follows is a philosophical manual intended for advanced students of esoteric traditions, comparative afterlife studies, and metaphysical cosmology. And the term hyperspace herein denotes not merely the mathematical construct of higher dimensions, but the ontological bridge between the corporeal and the incorporeal, the realm of all souls, the Jinn state, the beyond that ancient traditions have mapped through myth, ritual, and Gnostic science. This manual synthesizes ancient texts, Gnostic teachings, and philosophical reflections to dissect hyperspace as the primordial ground from which being emerges and to which being returns, where star stuff becomes what once was a being, and where the dead are not annihilated but translated into a different mode of existence. So, part 1 is the ancient conceptions of the beyond. Chapter 1, the Homeric interpenetration. Yes, the Homeric interpenetration of worlds. Sorry, it's when I see this word that I get tripped up, penetration, because now I'm thinking about, I'm not going to draw that. Anyways, so that would be really gross, wouldn't it? Well, the earliest Western texts reveal a remarkable fluidity between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. In the Odyssey, the wanderings of Odysseus, particularly in books 9 through 12, constitute a journey not merely through geographical space, but through the beyond itself. The poet crafts a landscape where the ordinary and the extraordinary interpenetrate, where the threshold between here and there is deliberately obscured. As one scholar observes, the effect of Homer's geography is to break down the sense of a definite border between there and here. The weird map of the beyond is contiguous with the real map of here in unusual ways. The other world could be all around us, as we might say, in a different dimension. This insight is foundational. The ancients intuited what we now term hyperspace, a dimension conterminous with our own, yet inaccessible to ordinary perception. The journey to the underworld, katabasis in Homer, is not a journey to a distant location, but a shift in perceptual modality. When Odysseus sails to the land of the Cimmerians and performs the necromantic rites described in Odyssey 11, he does not leave the physical world, rather he opens a portal within it. The dead come to him, drinking the blood of sacrifice and regaining temporary speech. Here we see the first articulation of a principle that will recur throughout this manual. The dead retain identity, coherence, and the capacity for communion with the living, provided the correct ritual technology is employed. The poet's deliberate vagueness regarding precise geographical coordinates serves a philosophical purpose. The uncertainty here is the point, writes Fowler. Again and again we are invited, by means of specific details, compass points, wind direction, length of journey, relative bearings, to plot the wanderings on a map of the Mediterranean, but we are not given quite enough information to put pen to paper. This calculated ambiguity suggests that the beyond is not elsewhere, but otherwise, not distant in space, but different in dimension. All right, chapter 2, Plato's sprinkling of science. Plato inherits the Homeric katabatic tradition and transmutes it into philosophical cosmology. In the Phaedrus, Socrates and Phaedrus undertake what scholars now recognize as a symbolic descent, katabasis, into an underworld landscape from which they emerge, having received a revelation concerning the nature of the soul in the cosmos. The dialogue opens with Socrates and Phaedrus walking along the Lysis river barefoot, seeking a place to sit in quiet contemplation. This seemingly innocent excursion is, in fact, a ritual descent. At the dialogue's close, Socrates instructs Phaedrus, "Go and tell Lysias that we too came down, katabante, to the spring and the sacred place of the nymphs, and listen to speeches." The verb katabanein, to go down, is the same word with which Odysseus begins his account of his own underworld journey in Odyssey 23, and with which Socrates opens the Republic, "I went down, katabin, to the Piraeus." What makes Plato's treatment distinctive is his integration of what he calls a sprinkling of science into the eschatological vision. In the central myth of the Phaedrus, souls behold the Hyperonian, region, the place beyond the heavens, where they contemplate the forms in a vision that is simultaneously mystical and cosmological. The soul's journey is not merely moral but epistemic. Knowledge of the universe's structure is essential for the soul's self-knowledge and, ultimately, for its fate in the afterlife. Plato thus establishes a paradigm that will prove enduring. The landscape of the afterlife reflects the structure of the cosmos, and the soul's navigation of that landscape depends upon its comprehension of cosmic order. The beyond is not arbitrary but structured, mappable in principle if one possesses the correct noetic faculties. All right. Chapter 3 is the Orphic Pythagorean tradition and the stellar soul. The so-called Orphic gold leaves, small inscribed tablets placed in graves from the 5th century BCE onward, provide direct evidence of ancient beliefs concerning the soul's post-mortem journey. These texts instruct the deceased on how to navigate the underworld, what to say to the guardians of the springs of memory, and how to avoid reincarnation. Well, as Emma G. demonstrates, Plato's Phaedrus is modeled after these gold leaves, transfiguring Orphic initiation into philosophical knowledge. In both traditions, the soul's fate depends upon its remembrance of its true nature and its cosmic origins. The soul that drinks from the spring of memory, mnemosyne, rather than the spring of forgetfulness, lethe, escapes the cycle of rebirth and returns to its divine source. Here we encounter the first clear articulation of the principle that the soul is, in its essence, of the same substance as the stars. The Pythagorean tradition taught that the stars are living, divine beings, and that human souls are fragments or emanations of the stellar intelligence. To die is not to cease, but to remember, to rejoin the cosmic body from which one was temporarily separated. All right, part 2. We're going to talk about hyperspace as the realm of souls. Chapter 4, the Jinn state and Gnostic science. Well, the term hyperspace receives its most explicit esoteric elaboration in the Gnostic tradition, particularly in teachings concerning what is called the Jinn state, Jinn science, Jinn religion. According to these texts, hyperspace is not merely a theoretical construct, but a practical reality accessible to those who cultivate the requisite spiritual and physical disciplines. Hyperspace can be demonstrated mathematically with hypergeometry. The Gnostic teachers affirm, Jinn science belongs to hyperspace and to hypergeometry. If we know what volume is, then we must accept hypervolume as the base of volume. If we accept the geometric sphere, then we must also accept the hypersphere. In fact, I want to talk about really quick how to access these realities when we're breaking dimensions or reality bending, if that's what you want to say. Here's a way to bend your reality. Do past life regression meditation. Just go on YouTube. I mean, you're already on YouTube watching this, so look up past life regression. And there is one person in particular you should watch, but it's guided meditation. And that shit will get you on a different soul plane. Like if you want to go on a different soul plane or astral plane, that's the way to do it. Past life regression, guided meditation. Trust me, I've done it a few times and it feels like getting high on mushrooms or acid. Really, it's a deep meditation, and yeah, that's all I can say. So, this is not mere abstraction. The Gnostic tradition claims that mastery of hyperspace enables extraordinary acts. The translation of the physical body through solid matter, levitation, walking on water, and most significantly for our inquiry, the resurrection of the dead. Thanks to hyperspace, the texts declare, Jesus performed the extraordinary act of taking his body out of the sepulchre after 3 days. Since then, the resurrected master lives with his physical body within hyperspace. The principle underlying these claims is that the physical body, like all matter, is ultimately composed of vibrations or frequencies. By altering the oscillatory frequency of the body through mental concentration and specific practices, one can shift it into a different dimensional register, into hyperspace proper. When the body of a yogi is in hyperspace, we say that he is in the jinn state. A yogi can walk on fire without being burned when he is in the jinn state. He can also walk upon the waters as Jesus did. He can float in the air. He can pass through a boulder or a wall from one side to the other without damaging his body. Alright, chapter 5. Hyperspace is the abode of the dead. If hyperspace is accessible to the living through advanced spiritual practice, it is the natural abode of the dead. The soul, upon separation from the gross physical body, finds itself in a dimensional environment that corresponds to its vibrational frequency, what esoteric traditions call the astral plane, the intermediate state, or simply the beyond. The Gnostic teachers affirm that any initiate who receives the elixir of long life dies, but does not die. We affirm that all of those who receive the elixir of long life will rise from the sepulchre on the 3rd day with their physical body, thus taking advantage of the opportunity that hyperspace grants. This paradoxical formulation, dies but does not die, captures the essence of the hyperspatial understanding of death. The physical body may be laid in the tomb, but the initiate, having mastered the laws of hyperspace, can reanimate that body and translate it into a higher dimensional existence. And I already made a video about like there being 60 or more dimensions, but there's 12 dimensions, or they say 11 to be exact, but whatever. The implication is profound. Death is not an end, but a translation. The soul, released from the constraints of 3-dimensional space-time, enters the hyperdimensional continuum where past, present, and future coexist, where spatial separation is meaningless and where identity persists in a transformed mode. Let's talk about chapter 6. Star stuff becomes what once was a being. And really quick, I'm going to take a nice rip from the bowl. So, the phrase star stuff becomes what once was a being encapsulates the cosmological dimension of hyperspatial philosophy. It actually draws upon the ancient intuition confirmed by modern astrophysics that the elements composing the human body were forged in the interiors of stars. We are literally stardust. But the hyperspatial tradition inverts this insight. If our bodies are made of star stuff, then our souls are made of star stuff in a different mode. The matter that once composed a living being does not simply disperse into nothingness upon death. Rather, it returns to the stellar matrix from which it came, carrying with it the impression, the memory, the form of the being that it once constituted. Now, this is not reincarnation in the conventional sense. The soul does not simply take on a new body, but something more mysterious. The dissolution of the individual into the cosmic without loss of individual identity. The star stuff that was once a being, it continues to exist as that being within the hyperspatial continuum, accessible to those who can perceive that dimension. The Gnostic tradition speaks of masters of Jinn science who can leave the earth in order to leave to live on other planets with the same physical body that they have here in the third dimension. They can take their physical body of flesh and blood to other planets. This is a great jump. The great jump is not merely spatial but dimensional. It is the passage from three-dimensional existence to hyperdimensional existence, from the realm of birth and death to the realm of eternal life. Alright, part 3 is the mapping of hyperspace. I'm gonna switch these colors up, I'm high as fuck. Purple, let's do green, and then we'll do like light blue. So chapter 7 is the journey vision paradigm. And what I'm gonna do is, really quick, give me 1 second, guys. Alright, I'm back. If you heard my sync at all, what I was doing was filling my bong up. Alright. Cheers to the stoners out there that actually care about astrology. Cheers to the stoners that care about death and philosophy. This is for you guys. Holy shit balls. This is a really nice bong that I got. You guys can't see me, at least my face on screen. I'm live on Meet Me. We got some people in here. How's it going, Lawrence? It's like, 10:44. We're vibing. I might actually take one more hit, because I honestly didn't even clear it. But I'm already pretty zooted, and I just wanted to, start smoking more on the channel with you guys. I don't really smoke too much weed on the channel as much as I used to. I mainly smoke cigarettes, but... Oh my god. I got like a shit ton of water in my mouth. Hang on. I'm glad you guys didn't see that, actually. You guys would be like, damn, this bitch is crazy. You guys probably already think that, but it is what it is. I just know you guys are, probably seeing this in a few years and you're like, that's the detransitioner, but that's not all I am. I'm also into astrology and, spirituality, being my Piscean self. And that looks like being true to my natal promise and not, gender reassignment surgery and other weird bullshit, in my opinion. That just, doesn't need to happen. Really. Anyways. One more bong rip, and then we're going to keep up with the video. So, the Vernie, holy fuck. The journey, Oh my gosh. I'm actually going to cut off the live stream because nobody was saying anything. This app is really weird. There's people on here that like want to pee on people. Anyways, so the journey vision paradigm. A comparative study of afterlife text reveals a recurring structural pattern that scholars term the journey vision paradigm. This paradigm consists of two distinct types of space and motion within afterlife narratives. Linear journey. The soul traverses a landscape, moving from one point to another, encountering obstacles, guides, and judgments. This is the horizontal dimension of the afterlife, the roadmap. Synoptic vision. The soul attains a vantage point from which the entire cosmos becomes visible, often in the form of a rotating sphere or cosmic vision, and this is the vertical dimension, the totalizing revelation. Now, these two modes correspond to two aspects of hyperspace: its extension, the journey, and its intention, the vision. The soul must move through the hyperspatial realm, but it must also comprehend that realm in its totality. The journey without the vision is mere wandering. The vision without the journey is mere abstraction. Plato's myth of and the Republic exemplifies this paradigm. Supposedly slain in battles, journeys through the afterlife and witnesses the judgment of souls in the spindle of necessity, a cosmic apparatus that displays the entire structure of the universe. The spindle straddles the boundary between allegory, on the one hand, and scientific information, in the form of the planetary system and musical ratios, on the other. Here, hyperspace is revealed as simultaneously moral and cosmological, ethical and astronomical. Honestly, Meet Me doesn't even deserve to hear what I'm talking about. Fuck them. Chapter 8 is the topography of the beyond. So if hyperspace is mappable, what does its map look like? Ancient and esoteric sources suggest several consistent features. The threshold, the entry point into hyperspace, is often marked by water, the ocean, the rivers of Hades, by caves, the cave of Trophonius at Libadi, or by ritual descent. The threshold is both a boundary and a portal, a place where the veil between dimensions grows thin. The springs. Two springs recur in afterlife topography: the spring of memory, Mnemosyne, and the spring of forgetfulness, Lethe. The soul that drinks from memory retains its identity in cosmic knowledge. The soul that drinks from forgetfulness loses itself and is reincarnated. The choice between these springs is the choice between liberation and bondage. The judges. In many traditions, souls encounter judges who evaluate their earthly lives. These judges are not external deities, but personifications of the soul's own conscious, or in hyperspatial terms, the soul's own vibrational frequency, manifesting as external reality. The spindle or cosmic vision. At the culmination of the journey, the soul beholds the cosmos in its totality, the spheres, the stars, the music of the spheres. This vision is not merely informative, but transformative. To see the cosmos truly is to become one with it. All right. Chapter 9 is the hyperspatial body. A persistent question in afterlife philosophy concerns the nature of the soul's embodiment in the beyond. So if the physical body remains in the grave, in what form does the soul continue? Well, the hyperspatial tradition answers the soul possesses a body, but a body of a different density, a different frequency. The Gnostic texts speak of the physical body entering hyperspace, but this is the exception, not the rule. For most souls, the postmortem vehicle is what esoteric traditions call the astral body, the subtle body, or the dream body, a body composed of finer matter, capable of traversing dimensions, yet retaining the form and identity of the earthly self. This body is not illusory, but real in a different mode. It occupies hyperspace as the physical body occupies three-dimensional space. It has extension, location, and the capacity for movement and perception. But these are hyperdimensional extension, hyperdimensional location, hyperdimensional movement, and perception. The ancient Greeks intuited this when they spoke of the eidolon, the image or shade that persists after death. Odysseus encounters these shades in Odyssey 11. They drink the blood and speak, but they are strengthless heads of the dead. This paradoxical formulation, present yet insubstantial, recognizable yet ghostly, captures the nature of hyperspatial embodiment. Alright, part 4 is practical gnosis. Chapter 10 is the keys to hyperspace. And really quick, I want to give a song recommendation because I love music. And this song is by Youngblood. Yes, Youngblood. And Lil Yachty. This song is called When We Die, Can We Still Get High? It's obviously about drugs and whatnot, if you make it like that, but I'm thinking about it even more. I'm like high as fuck now, and I'm like, when we die, can we still get high? Really, it's a really philosophical song, and just it hits close to home for me, honestly, every time I hear it. And the slowed and reverb versions, dude. I don't know why I love slowed reverb versions. Okay, slowed reverb, yes. And that's what I'm trying to do for like some of the music I really like, but I keep getting copyrighted, so I don't know how to post any more music stuff on here without getting copyrighted, unless it's what I used to do, making the songs with the AI. But anyways, part 4, practical gnosis. Yes, the keys to hyperspace. While the Gnostic tradition offers specific practices for those who seek to experience hyperspace consciously, whether in this life or in the afterlife, these practices are presented as keys that unlock dimensional doors. The first key, the devotee lies on the left side, resting the head on the left palm, and falls asleep while maintaining awareness of dreams. When he begins to see the images of his dreams, he must arise very quietly from the bed, holding on to the dream as if it were a precious treasure. Before the devotee leaves his house, he must make a small jump with the intention of floating within the surrounding atmosphere. If after executing the small jump the devotee floats in the air, then his physical body has entered into the jinn state. This practice transforms ordinary sleepwalking, somnambulism, into conscious dimensional travel. The dream images become portals. The dream body becomes the vehicle for hyperspatial exploration. The second key, the tradition speaks of a nut called the deer's eye that possesses marvelous jinn powers. The precise nature of this nut and its employment are reserved for advanced initiates. Foundation practices. Before attempting these keys, the student must cultivate pranayama, breath control, absolute chastity, and unshakable faith. Jinn science is not for the weak, the unsteady, fickle, or inconsistent people. The science is for people who have as much patience as Saint Job. The science is for people who are tenacious, tireless, courageous, and strong as steel. Alright, chapter 11. Warnings and prohibitions. The hyperspatial tradition is unanimous. The hyperspatial tradition is unanimous in its warnings. These teachings are not for skeptics, not for the curious, not for those who seek power for selfish ends. The science should never be exhibited, for the White Lodge forbids it. Jinn science is not to be displayed or demonstrated as a spectacle of magic. The science is terribly divine and can be practiced only in secret. The author of one Gnostic text recounts being rebuked by the Master Moria for attempting public demonstrations. We have been teaching and helping you for the past 10 years, and now you want to exhibit your powers. Why? Powers are very sacred. Powers must not be exhibited to the public. The consequences of misuse are severe. Whoever wishes to apply the powers of jinn science for selfish gain will convert himself into a horrible demon and will inevitably tumble into the abyss. The law is the law. Karma will punish the abusers. And for skeptics, those who approach these teachings with doubt or derision, there is danger of a different kind. We do not advise people who are filled with doubts, the skeptics, to enter into these studies because they may go mad. The battle of tremendous contrast and opposition can destroy the brains of the skeptics. This may force them into a mental institution. All right, chapter 12. The ethics of hyperspatial knowledge. The hyperspatial tradition is not merely a collection of techniques, but a way of life. Those who would master hyperspace must cultivate purity. The Jinn religion demands absolute chastity and supreme sanctity. The energies that enable dimensional travel are generated and conserved through sexual discipline. Patience. Success may require years of practice. Some will succeed immediately. These are the fortunate ones who have practiced Jinn science in ancient reincarnations. Others may have never practiced the science. They must begin practicing pranayama and exercise this practice for many years until they obtain this power. Compassion. The powers of Jinn science can be utilized in order to cure and heal sick people from a distance. These powers can also be utilized in order to enter the temples of the White Lodge and study the marvels of creation within the womb of nature. They are gifts to be used in service, not instruments of personal aggrandizement. Alright, now I want to talk about our synthesis and how I'd go about synthesizing this in our conclusion. So chapter 13 is Hyperspace as the ground of being. We are now in a position to synthesize the threads of this inquiry. Hyperspace emerges from ancient and esoteric sources as the ontological foundation of three-dimensional reality, the hypervolume that underlies volume, the hypersphere that underlies the sphere, the abode of the dead, the dimensional continuum into which souls pass upon separation from the physical body, the source of stellar being, the matrix from which star stuff emerges into which it returns, carrying the impressions of the beings it once constituted, the goal of spiritual practice accessible to the living through disciplined techniques of consciousness alteration, the sight of cosmic vision where the soul beholds the totality of creation and recognizes its own place within that totality. Alright, chapter 14. Star stuff becomes what once was a being. The phrase that serves as this manual subtitle now reveals its full significance. Star stuff becomes what once was a being is not poetry, but ontology. It affirms that the elements composing our bodies originate in stellar nucleosynthesis, a fact of modern astrophysics, that these elements organized into living beings acquire form, memory, and identity that persist beyond the dissolution of the physical body, that upon death this organized star stuff returns to the cosmic matrix, but returns as what it has become, carrying within it the being it once constituted. That within hyperspace all such beings coexist, the dead are not lost but translated, not annihilated but transformed. The dead then are not elsewhere but otherwise. They inhabit a dimension coterminous with our own, accessible to those who can shift their perceptual frequency. They are the star stuff that once walked the earth, now return to its cosmic source, yet retaining the form, the memory, the I amness that define them in life. Essentially, we all have the placements of the zodiac from Aries through Pisces, right? Doesn't matter what your sun sign is, you have in your chart not just your sun sign, but the moon and Venus and all the other planets. So you have all the zodiac signs. You are all 12 at once in a world of billions that are just like that. Isn't that crazy? And fucking exhausting? Exciting, exhausting, whatever. Overly stimulating. Hell, I have to go to an airport for the first time next month to go speak at a fucking public, panel in front of a lot of people by myself. And I have Saturn and Cancer retrograde in the third house. But Saturn's in Aries now. And it's time for me to step up and say, this is what happened to me. And it's not fucking cool that my voice is fucked up and that, I don't know what's going to happen to me in a few years. I have no idea. And a lot of girls feel the same way. So anyways, chapter 15, final aphorisms. Hyperspace is not a place but a dimension, not far away, but all around us, separated only by a difference in frequency. Death is a translation, not an annihilation. The soul does not cease but continues in a different mode of being. The dead retain identity, coherence, and the capacity for communion with the living, provided the living know how to listen. Star stuff becomes what once was a being. The matter that composed us returns to the cosmos, carrying the imprint of our existence. The map of hyperspace is the map of the soul. To know one is to know the other. All great spiritual traditions are at their core technologies for navigating hyperspace, for dying before death, for entering the beyond while still in the body, for returning with knowledge of what lies ahead. The keys are given, the choice is yours. But not technically. If you haven't seen my other video I made about euthanasia, check it out. What I want when I die is for Archie Astrology to, if he's still alive when I die, to talk about me on his channel and talk about my natal chart. That sounds insane, but that's my death wish. That's literally all I want. Even while I'm alive, I kind of want to pay him to just give me a reading, even though he's like, don't pay me to give you a reading unless you're desperate. And I'm like, I am, Archie. Anyways, appendices. So Appendix A, glossary of terms. Beyond thee, the realm of the dead, the afterlife landscape, hyperspace considered as the abode of discarnate souls. Hypergeometry, the mathematics of higher dimensions, the formal study of hyperspace. Hyperspace, the dimensional continuum beyond the three dimensions of ordinary space, the realm of souls, the Jinn state. Then we have the Jinn state, which is the condition of existing consciously in hyperspace while retaining physical embodiment. Catabasis, a descent into the underworld, a journey to the realm of the dead, a literary or ritual trope for encountering the beyond. Pranayama, breath control practices that prepare the body and mind for hyperspatial experience. Alright, Appendix B, selected passages for meditation from Homer, Odyssey 11. Then I drew my sharp sword from beside my thigh and sat there, and would not allow the strengthless heads of the dead to draw near to the blood until I had questioned Tiresias. From Plato, Phaedrus, 247c. The region beyond the heavens, no earthly poet has sung it worthily, nor will any, but this is the way it is, for one must dare to speak the truth, especially when speaking of truth. From the Gnostic tradition, we affirm that interplanetary infinite space is curved. We affirm that the infinite is in incessant motion. We affirm that there is an infinite series of revolving spaces from different dimensions that interpenetrate each other without disorder. From the Orphic gold leaves, you will find on the left of the house of Hades a spring, and standing by it a white cypress. Do not even approach the spring. You will find another from the lake of memory, cold water flowing forth, and there are guardians before it. Thank you for watching this video with peace and love. In my next videos, you will see me reacting to some movies or movie commentaries, if you will, because I've been wanting to do these for a while. And I think I'm going to watch Project X first. So yeah. It's a movie about a bunch of kids in college that party all night, based on a real story about some kids in Australia. I found it pretty fascinating. And I've actually seen the movie before, but I thought, fuck it, let's watch it again. I'm bored. I want to pull an all-nighter and smoke weed. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I hope to see you there with peace and love. Catch you later.